So good afternoon, good morning, good day, wherever you may be joining today's webinar. My name is Franklin Smith, and I am Executive Director of Isaac International. And I'd like to take this opportunity of welcoming you from wherever you may be joining in today on today's webinar. Today's webinar is a presentation on the Conference 2016 call for papers and how to best make use of the system in order to submit proposals for our conference next year in beautiful, sunny, warm Toronto, Canada. On the presentation with me today is one of our Conference 2016 co-chairs, Tracy Shepard. Tracy, welcome.
Thank you.
And Tracy, clearly you can hear me, and we've already done some audio checks, and I think everyone is able to hear us, so I think we are good to go. For those of you who were on the webinar beginning, 15 minutes or so to the hour, you would have seen a number of slides rotating up on your screen, giving you a little bit of information just about some of the basics on how we're going to be running today's webinar. For those of you who didn't happen to see it, I'll just very briefly give you an indication. If you're wondering why your microphones are muted, that is to allow you the ability to be able to carry on with your day, morning, afternoon. We understand everyone's time is very precious, and the phone may ring or you may need to take a meeting, so feel free to do that. You will not be disturbing the webinar. Also, there will be a question and answer session as part of today's webinar. So in order to ask questions, you should see on your screen a GoToWebinar customer or user interface panel. Feel free to simply type your question in the question pane as soon as it comes to you, and we will be dedicating some time as part of today's webinar to deal with questions and hopefully some very lucid and informative answers. So, and also the final note, we are recording today's webinar. That is strictly for Isaac International's educational and promotional use, and we guarantee that no individual's personal information will be mentioned as part of the webinar. So no need to be concerned about that. We guard people's privacy very carefully. So without further ado then, Tracy, if you're okay with me carrying on, then I'm just going to get right into it here. And
Please do.
Thank you. So just some initial basic information. The call for papers, our portal will open at 1800 Greenwich Mean Time. That's 6 in the evening for us here in the eastern part of North America on June 1st, 2015. So that's in 10 or so days' time, so we're getting pretty close. And by the way, thank you to everyone who's on the webinar today. We have representation, at least people who have registered, representation from the west coast of North America all the way across to Russia, and also even someone brave enough to be up at 5 o'clock in the morning in Australia. So kudos to that person as well. So the Call for Papers portal is scheduled to remain open right through until 1800 Greenwich Mean Time on October 16th, 2015. Our intent is to notify all applicants of acceptance of their proposals. I mean, clearly the papers are going to be reviewed, and the proposals are going to be reviewed, and those proposals that are accepted, notifications will be sent out by February 19th, 2016. And I would just add to that, given that we are dealing with multiple time zones, unless we specify a time you can assume from that that it'll be the close of business here in Toronto. So that's 5 p.m. By then. And the format and scheduling of accepted papers will be communicated to successful presenters by April 18th, 2016. So that's some of the key dates. And we're going to go through this in a few minutes, so I'm just going to briefly mention here there is a lot of information up on the Isaac International website, and it is available by, I'm not going to click on that link now because I'm going to show it to you in a few moments, but there's the hyperlink. We have a Call for Papers 2016 page on our website, more than one page actually, and there's a lot of information on there. So we would, by all means, for sure, ask you to check up on there. And a lot of the information that you're probably looking for is already posted there. As noted here on this slide, the website does provide full explanations for the information that will need to be contained in submissions. And if on the off chance that I've missed something, for sure Tracy hasn't, but if on the off chance that I've missed something, then by all means, you can send an email to conference 2016 at isaac-online.org. So, quick run through. What are some of the key elements in proposals that we're going to be asking for? We're going to be asking for an identification of target age group, target audience, paper stream or streams selection, paper content focus area or areas, paper key phrase or phrases, paper key learning objective or objectives, and paper presentation preference. And that is bolded and underlined because we don't want anyone to assume that the paper presentation format that they request is 100% guaranteed. Isaac International will make every effort to accommodate based on the paper and based on the reviewer analysis. We'll make every effort to accommodate the preference that has been requested, but please keep in mind that what you are requesting is a preference. Isaac does reserve the right to assign presentation formats based on the outcome of the individual reviews. And I can say reviews quite firmly because each paper proposal will receive multiple reviews. So it's not just one person who's going to be reviewing it. There will be multiple sets of eyes looking at each and every paper proposal. So with our 2014 conference in Lisbon, there were approximately 500 papers. So there were over 1,000 reviews conducted of all those papers. So it's a massive undertaking. And if you get a chance, either now or in the months leading up to the conference or at the conference, to give a vote of thanks to anyone, please make sure you give a huge vote of thanks to the conference co-chairs, because they're the ones who are making sure that all the reviews happen and working with all the reviewers. So yes, by all means, lots of people involved in this effort. So there's also some other items that need to be included in proposals. Author names, email addresses, and we also have now a designation of who the presenting author or authors are going to be. You'll need to provide a short abstract, and we'll get into some details in a few minutes as to what short means, and that's going to be simply a copy and paste of some text into the submission system. You're going to also need to have a long or extended abstract created, and that is going to be submitted as part of your paper submission into the system via PDF file upload. And because this is a conference that is going to be that is obviously taking part in Canada, and we have a large number of professionals and individuals who are interested in and want Asha continuing education units or credits. Asha disclosure forms will need to be included as part of the long or extended abstract. And we'll get into some of the details about how that will be managed within the software when we actually demonstrate how the software is used. But there's some information here, and by again, one of the points that I do want to mention is that when the materials for this webinar are available on the Isaac website, they will also include a PDF of these slides. So don't feel you have to furiously scribble information down. All of this will be uploaded and posted on the Isaac website, so you'll be able to see all of this at your leisure. So without further ado, I'm going to proceed to the Conference 2016 website, and if technology works, there we go. You should see on your screen. Tracy, do you see the Conference 2016 website? Great, fabulous. So as you can see here, there's a lot of information. We have all of the details, some of the details that I've just run through here in letter form, the theme of the conference. We also have very detailed Conference 2016 submission guidelines here on the website. All of this is available on the website and details exactly the information that's going to be required. So this is a really good resource to go back to as you're getting your proposal ready. I'm going to highlight this item right here because this is one of those little technology details that we oftentimes overlook. But there's a little bit of software that, one of those ubiquitous bits of software that resides on billions and billions of different devices around the world, and it's called Java or JavaScript. Your web browser needs to have JavaScript enabled in order for the functionality on our online paper submission system to work properly. So I've noted that, and again, I'm not going to go through a lot of this in huge detail because I just want to just bring everyone's attention or make everyone aware that this information is all up on the website. We will mention it again and again, so not to worry. And we also, for those of you who are interested in submitting or making a submission in French, we have all of those details graciously translated by our fabulous French translators, available also on our website in beautiful Parisian French. So it's all available there too. Submissions will be accepted in either of Canada's official national languages, English or French. So, Tracy, anything from before we actually launch the submission system, is there anything from your end that you think I neglected to mention or didn't give enough attention to?
No, not at all. I just will reiterate that when you find out about your acceptance on February 19th, you won't find out at that point what type of format you will have been accepted for at that point. So you may forget that when it comes to that time, but that's not when you're going to find out what format you've been accepted to.
Great, thank you. Thank you for mentioning that, Tracy. All right, so we've tried to make it as obvious as possible, and I think that big blue button there is pretty obvious. So I'm going to click that button, and you're going to see what happens. So you should now see on your screen, and I'm just going to verify that that is what you're seeing. Yes, it is. You should see the ISAC 2016 Online Paper Submission and Review System. So the system is currently open. It is open only in test mode. So don't worry, you haven't missed any deadline. We've been currently undergoing some testing of the system, as I like to say, kicking the tires just to make sure it works properly, and also for the purposes of demonstration for this webinar. So the very first thing that you're going to do when you want to make a submission is click this hyperlink called Make Submission. And you click on that, and it brings you to the submission screen. And here's that note that I mentioned earlier that the system right now is in test mode. So the very first thing the system is going to ask is for a paper title. So I'm just going to type something in here. And the little verbiage underneath just lets you know that your title can be up to a maximum of 15 words. So there we go. There's the title. And I think this is all pretty self-explanatory. So I'm going to put my first name and my last name. And there we go. And just so happens I have the address there and the city there. And for those of you living in a country with states or provinces, by all means, put in our zip code. The country listing, for anyone who's really interested, you'll see a long list of countries there. I'm just going to remind people that ISAC is an organization with NGO status with the United Nations, and based on that, ISAC does maintain consistency with United Nations naming conventions, and the list of countries here also maintains that consistency. It is the ISO standard country listing, and it was just recently updated about a week ago because there were some naming changes over the last few months. So if you're wondering why certain countries are listed a certain way, it's because the ISO says that that's the standard way. So I'm just going to pick Canada for now, and let's go with an email address here. Oops. And I'm going to make myself a presenter. Of course, so you can see nothing terribly difficult in this. If there's more than one presenter, then you can just keep adding additional, or more than one author, you can just keep adding additional authors, and any author that is intending to be a presenter, if you could please flag them as such, that would be great. If there are going to be more than 3 authors, you can just click that Add Author button more and click that Add Author hyperlink, and it will open up additional author fields for you to enter author information in. So that's the author piece. This next section allows you to designate which author is the author of contact for correspondence purposes. And you can also provide an alternative or an alternate contact information such as email address or telephone number or anything like that. So that's the basic author information. And again, as I said, if there's anything in here that has been that I've glossed over or you're uncertain about, by all means, just type a question into the question pane and we can come back to it. So this is now getting into this next section. These next sections are getting into the information that I mentioned as part of the introduction that you're going to be asked to asked to present or provide information on. And let's deal with target age group and audience first. The system will allow you to identify what the target age group for your submission is, and you can either have a no specific age category, or you can have one or more of preschool, school age, and adult. If you click no specific age category, you can see the other three. You can't select any of the other three, but you can select one or more of those first three. Okay, so let's leave it at that. And target audience, it's either an introductory general level knowledge presentation or an intermediate advanced knowledge level. So let's say that's intermediate or advanced. So here's where we get to select one or more streams. And I think coming out of Conference 2014, we found that these streams worked very well for people. So we've changed the wording a little bit, but essentially maintained the consistency with Conference 2014. And again, this is a multi-select, so you can select one or more or all of them. But you do need to select one or more of them. Same thing with content focus areas. And by all means, Tracy, if you want to jump in on something, by all means, jump in, because this is...
One point, if you when you were mentioning just up a little bit on your screen, the introductory or intermediate, that's more well defined in the call for papers online that Franklin was showing you first. That we just wanted to have a way to kind of structure what was a general kind of level of knowledge or somebody that was new to the field versus something that's a very detailed. So something more general as compared to something that's much more detailed on one particular focus area. That would be intermediate and advanced. So those definitions are on the website.
Thank you, Tracy. And this is definitely more your area of expertise than mine. So by all means, I will try and speak slowly and give lots of opportunity for pauses so that you can jump in.
No problem.
All right, so that then takes us to content focus areas, and again, essentially maintain consistency with 2014, although they're changed slightly. But the content focus areas are important for very important for scheduling purposes, because clearly, I think Tracy, you'll agree with me that when it comes time to scheduling all the papers, we want to do so in a way that makes sense for people to be able to follow particular streams and content focus areas, and so that's why it's important for us to capture this information.
Absolutely.
So the nice thing about the content focus areas definition area, I should say, is that it is linked to the key phrases. So for instance, if your submission is, the content of your submission is going to focus on, let's say, living successfully with complex communication needs. So you would check A, and then you probably notice that key phrases A1, A2, and A3 have now become enabled. And I'm going to deselect A again, and you'll see that they become disabled. So that then allows you to select one or more of the key phrases, and as the text here indicates, you can select one just by clicking on it with your mouse, left mouse click, or you can hold down the Control key on your keyboard and click again and select one or more of them. And if, for instance, your submission covers not just content focus area A, but also deals, let's say, in innovations in AAC, content focus area D, then lo and behold, the key phrases down in focus area D are now also enabled. So you can, again, hold the Control key and select one or more of those. So there you can see A1 through A3 have been selected, and D1 and D3 have been selected. And again, same comment as before, knowing this allows us to provide a much better scheduling experience for everyone. P.S. Tracy, this is your.
No, I'm good.
Good. Okay. I thought I'd missed something there.
No.
Good. All right. So that then takes us to key learning objectives, and this is a new. This is something new for Conference 2016, and so I'm going to just let Tracy take this one away.
So this, in order to, it kind of goes to the Asha CEE credits that people are interested in collecting. So we need to have learning objectives that are, what we've done is kind of come up with a group of learning objectives that are kind of general that can be applied to a lot of our different topic areas that we would be having at the ISAC conference. So you can choose which, if any, of these would fit your particular presentation, and that's really the purpose of this particular set of learning objectives. So you, again, probably can see as Franklin's clicking, you can click a few of them.
And yes, the system allows you to click one or two or all of them or some of them. So again, pretty straightforward to use. Okay, so here's the point in the submission system where it's asking for your presentation format preference. And I think, Tracy, one of the things I'm going to do, I thought I had made this change already, but I don't see it here, so I'm just going to go back into the system after the webinar. I just want to add a bit of text explanation here identifying that this is a presentation format request. And that it is a preference that submitting authors are making, but it is not 100% guaranteed, so to speak, going on the comment that I made earlier. And again, this allows you to select one or more, and let's say you know 100% this is going to be a 60-minute. You want this to be a 60-minute presentation, or you'd like to request a 60-minute presentation. So there you go. This is the place to do it. Okay, so now we are at the stage of being able to enter abstract information. And here in the content area, you're going to see two different sections. You're going to see a free-form text box, which, by the way, can be opened up or closed depending on your how comfortable you are, one way or the other, whether you want a big area to type in or a smaller area. Maximum 250 words, and all you're going to do is copy and paste, or as I'm doing, just typing some gibberish in. Hopefully yours for sure is not going to be gibberish, but just for the sake of testing. And you can see it's just allowing me to type text in. You probably already will have a short abstract created, so literally it would just be copying that and pasting that text in. So actually what I'm going to do is show you. Good thing I can type quickly. So copy and paste. And there we go. So it's as simple as doing that. The next piece is the long or extended abstract. And the long or extended abstract, as mentioned earlier, needs to be in a PDF format. If it is not in a PDF format, the system will not accept it, and you will be notified that it has to be a PDF. So you'll know right away whether it's worked or hasn't worked. So I'm just going to go on to my computer, and let's just attach a PDF, and there we go, it's attached, and so that's good. And I'm gonna talk about the long or extended abstract information momentarily. But just keep in mind that long or extended abstracts do need to include completed ASHA disclosure forms. And we'll take you through where to find those and how to complete them. The system is then going to ask you to create a password, and this is for you to be able to go in after the fact and edit your submission, or if you realize you uploaded perhaps the wrong PDF or the PDF had an error in it, you can always go back in and re-upload and swap out the files. So I'm just going to type in a password, and it's going to ask you to verify by re-entering the password, and there we go. And comments, this is where, again, this is a free-form text field, and you can type in any additional information that you want the organizers of Conference 2016 to know regarding your presentation, whether your presentation has any specific needs around audiovisual or accessibility or anything else. So I'm just going to type in here, no additional needs. Thank you. And now we're ready to hit the big Make Submission button. So if I've done everything correctly here, this should work. Let's click it and let's find out. System says processing. Woohoo! All right. So I have successfully made a submission called 2016 Conference Webinar Test Paper Submission. And the system will respond with a submission ID number, and mine is test number 8. And you need that information, and you also need your email address that you made the submission under, and the password. Don't forget the password. And the system will just spit back to a summary of what you have, how your submission has been set up. And you can see their file uploaded. So that's really all there is to it. Once you see this submission confirmation, you know that your information has been submitted successfully into the system. There you go. Tracy?
No, I think we've covered all of it. So that last field that was optional comments, that's where you would tell us anything that didn't get captured that you really think is important, that's something out of the ordinary as far as accessibility, presenter accessibility. If there's, a particular layout of the room that you require for your workshop, or if there's a maximum number of participants that you would like to have, and we'll try to have a look at those things and accommodate them as best we can.
Fabulous. Thank you, Tracy. So we spent a little bit of time talking about ASHA continuing education units, and I wanted to make sure we circle back and touch on those as well. So I'm just going to go back to the Conference 2016 Call for Papers page, and you can see here on the left-hand side of the screen underneath the Call for Papers main page, we have a sub-page called ASHA Disclosure Forms. So if I click on that, you'll see here a section that is dedicated to, first of all, providing the ASHA disclosure forms that need to be part of the long or extended abstract. And just from my perspective, again, as we mentioned, this is a conference that's occurring in North America. Many professionals across North America want and need to be able to earn those ASHA continuing education units for themselves as part of their personal and or career growth. And even though, if you're submitting a paper and if you happen to be an author or a group of authors from Europe or Asia or Australia, where the ASHA continuing education units may not be necessarily applicable in your in your situation, please bear in mind that uh, it it really will help you in the end, even if you yourself personally won't benefit from or can't benefit from Asha CEUs. It will in the end benefit your presentation because you're going to be doing the utmost to make sure as many people as possible are able to attend your presentation. It's going to be a very full conference, and if sometimes people have to make choices because there are two presentations that are going on simultaneously, and if someone who wants to or needs to earn those continuing education units needs to make a choice between a presentation that where those units are applicable and a presentation where they may not be applicable, they're going to choose the one where it is. So please do make every effort to complete the forms and include them with your long or extended abstract. The forms are very easily accessible. If you just hover over this Asha disclosure form link and click on it, you'll see that it opens up a PDF. It's a 3-page document. These documents cannot be completed online. You do need to either print them locally if you want to fill them out by hand. If you want to complete them, if you have a version of Adobe that allows you to, like the full version of Adobe that allows you to write in a PDF, then you can certainly download them. I would certainly recommend that you download them locally, and that's what happens when you click that download link. Your web browser will ask you where to save them to, or I'll just click yes, and it's going to save a copy of it in my local browser. And I would, for sure, first step is to download them and save them locally, and then you can fill them out once they're on your computer locally. I do not believe you'll be able to fill them out when they're sitting up on our server. So that's step number one. So once they're on your computer, you can fill them out locally. Now, there are PDF documents have been for a number of years essentially the industry standard in creating documents that appear formatted the same way across multiple platforms. So it's no big surprise that we're providing documents in PDF format. There are multiple ways of being able to attach the Asha disclosure forms as part of your long or extended abstract. And those methods are highlighted here on the Asha disclosure form page. And I'm just going to highlight them right now. We certainly recommend using the full version of Adobe Acrobat to do that. Adobe Acrobat allows you to merge multiple PDF documents into a single document. Lots of people have the full version of Adobe Acrobat. Lots of people don't. So if you're one of those that do, great, you already have the solution in place. If you happen to be one of those people that does not have access to the full version of Adobe Acrobat, then there are many different freeware PDF creator applications that are freely available on the internet. We have looked up a few of them, and we've provided you with that information here. And I'm going to click that link. And that information is right there. These are 3 that are absolutely freeware applications, so they can be downloaded, installed, and used at no cost. Again, this is just a selection of 3 of them. There are many more out there, but I do believe that each of these 3 allow you to not only create PDFs, but allow you to merge multiple PDF documents together. So that's a second way in which you can include your Asha CEU disclosure forms as part of your long or extended abstract. The third way, if you don't want to download or install a freeware application, you can always fill out the Asha forms. You can print them or you can print them and then fill them out by hand. You can scan them, or you can scan them on a scanner, or you can even take a picture of them with a smartphone or a camera, and then you can include that JPEG as part of the Word document that you're using to create your long or extended abstract, and then save that entire file as a PDF. So there are 3 different methods that one can use to create that single PDF. The review committee is currently looking at, it's looking at all the different options on how we're going to be, on how they're going to be managing all the papers that we hope are going to come in, and certainly reviewing each paper to make sure that it meets the paper submission requirements is one item that is going to be done. I'm not going to speak at length about it, Tracy. I don't know if you have any other additional comments. All I'm just going to say is that inclusion of Asha disclosure forms is a requirement.
Yep, nothing else.
Okay, all right. So I'm cognizant of the time. I know we did start a few minutes late, but it's now almost 3:45. Tracy, I don't know if you have any wrap-up comments that you'd like to make, and I'm going to take a look at any questions that have been submitted, and we can deal with those. And if while Tracy's making some final comments, if you have any questions that have come to mind and you want to type in, by all means, now is the time to do it. Tracy?
Yeah, I don't think I have anything else to add. I'd love to hear if there's anything that was unclear. We think it's clear, but we've been involved in producing it, so and kind of taking what was done for 2014 and just making some tweaks to it. So I really just want to hear what your questions are so we can be responsive to that.
Fabulous, thank you, Tracy. So we have a few questions in. I'm going to start, and I'll read out one of the questions that have been submitted. And one of them is, will in-progress submissions be considered?
So that would mean, like, you're talking about research that's been started but not completed with final results. So typically, yes, the answer would be yes, and I would think that at the time of submission you wouldn't have your results, but hoping that at the time of presentation that the results would be completed and ready to present. That would, I think, be the best choice there for something that's in progress.
Fabulous. Thank you, Tracy. There was another question, well, there was a few other questions, but one of the other ones that I'll mention here is someone has asked what our response time is going to be on email queries, and generally speaking, I know I make every effort to respond to emails for sure within 36 to 48 business hours. So that's, a day and a half to 2 business days of question being submitted. Clearly, at this early point in time, that's that response time is going to be even less than that. As we get closer to submission deadlines, or as we get closer to key dates, clearly the volume of questions becomes greater. But generally speaking, we try and get back to people within a day, day and a half, 2 days. So there's that. I think we're pretty good at it. And we'll try and see if we can maintain that streak going. So someone else, there's another question here. The instructions say no identifying information in the extended abstract, but the Asha non-disclosure form contains identifying info. Can you clarify?
That's a good question. So the reviewers won't get the Asha disclosure forms, is what I would understand. Am I wrong, Frank?
No, you are correct. That is exactly what will happen.
So they will get the extended abstracts to review, and the Asha disclosure forms will remain at Isaac. So those two things will not cross paths with the reviewers. So they're blind reviews for sure. Absolutely.
Good question. Thank you.
Yeah, very good question.
Okay, so another person has asked, once presentations have been confirmed and accepted, will the presenter be required to provide PowerPoint slides and supplementary materials to go with their presentation? And where should they be submitted?
Okay. Ahead of time, we did not do that last year. It's another good question. In 2014, people brought their presentations along with them. Am I wrong, Jonathan? I'm trying to remember now.
Well, what we did in 2014, and I think we'll probably be doing something similar this time around, is we made available individual folders for each submission on Dropbox, and it became that available to all the authors of that submission, and they could upload any materials that they needed, including PowerPoint slides and videos and things like that. So, but we're obviously going to wait on that until the submissions are all in, and then we'll create all that and send out all those announcements and link you all up with that. So that's the way that will happen, and yes, there'll be lots of notifications along the way.
And if there's other supplementary information that you want the participants that are attending your session to have, many presenters will have that uploaded on their own websites after the conference that people can go to. We try to be as paperless as possible and save as many trees as we can doing it that way.
Thank you. Thank you. Absolutely. Yes. We are Canadians, so we do want to make sure we maintain the sanctity of our environments here and everywhere in the world. So it looks like the qualifying information question has raised some more follow-ups, which is great. Here's another follow-up. What qualifies as identifying information in the extended abstract?
Another good question. So I would stay away from names for sure, and if you could be more general about organizations that might lead to a reviewer knowing who the people are that might be submitting, that would be also advised.
Great. Thank you, Tracy. So it is 10 to 4 now. I believe we have touched on all of the questions that have been submitted. They've been great questions. Thank you. Tracy, I think we should give another moment or two just in case someone is furiously trying to type another question in that hasn't been addressed, but it looks like that we have done our job today.
Yeah, and if the questions weren't answered clearly enough, you'd like to kind of have a little bit more information about that, just give us an email. We can be more clear if we haven't been.
Absolutely, and yes, that email address once again is conference2016 at Isaac, ISAAC -online, ONLINE.org. As mentioned, a video of this webinar has been created. It will get posted on the Isaac website. The PowerPoint, a PDF version of the PowerPoint slides from today's webinar will likewise be posted on the Isaac website. Tracy, we're getting thanks from the United States. We're getting thanks from Italy. We're a hit. I should say you're a hit, Tracy.
The dynamic duo.
And we're even getting thank you from Canada too. Wow. Wow. Okay. So unless there's another question, I don't think there is. If you think of something 5 minutes after the presentation, by all means, email it to us. Tracy, thank you very much for being online with me.
No problem. Thank you.
And thank you to everyone around the world who joined us at today's webinar. And if you know someone who missed today's webinar, we are doing a repeat performance tomorrow. That is Wednesday, May the 20th, at the wonderful hour of 10 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're doing that to make sure that our dear friends in the Middle East, Asia, and Australia, New Zealand, and elsewhere in that part of the world is also able to benefit from this presentation. So again, thank you very much. Take care, and we look forward.
We'll see you all in Toronto.
There you go. We'll see you in Toronto, and please make sure to submit your paper presentations. Thank you very much, everyone.